Hola a todos, soy Ayelén Vegagil, esto es para Harry Latino, Zona Muggle. Estoy aquí con Alexandra Bracken, muy conocida por sus libros Pasajera y Mentes, poderosas, así que hoy es un placer tenerla aquí con nosotros. It's a pleasure to have you here. So I am wondering, how are you liking Argentina so far?
I love it. My favorite thing about it is all of the people that I've met. Everyone has been so welcoming, so kind, and so friendly to us, especially since my sister and I both do not speak Spanish at all. So it's been a little pathetic on our end in terms of trying to order things at restaurants and whatnot. But it's a beautiful city, and honestly, I didn't realize how many different neighborhoods there are in Buenos Aires, and so we've had so much to do. I feel like I need more time to explore.
Okay, so I was also wondering, you are a Star Wars fan.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you also have read a couple of books or something.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Which house do you belong to?
Pottermore put me in Gryffindor. I find that it's like debatable though, because sometimes I'm like, maybe I would really be a Ravenclaw because I love learning. Like, I don't know, do you think you get to pick? Some part of it is like, I want to be a Ravenclaw, and the Sorting Hat is like, yes, you can be a Ravenclaw. I don't know.
Yeah, me too. I am a Ravenclaw, so yeah, that's good.
No en Slytherin. No en Slytherin. No en Slytherin, eh?
But in Passenger and The Darkest Minds, your characters have superpowers. Some can time travel, others can read minds. So, which superpower would you like to have?
Oh man, I would really like to be able to teleport because then I could come back to Buenos Aires and finish being a tourist. I think it would make it so much easier to not have to get on an airplane, to not have to get in a car, and just be able to teleport places.
It would be very quick.
I know, it would be very quick.
Yeah. Okay, so also, well, I just have read Passenger. I loved it.
Oh, thank you.
I love how you set the time travel rules. And I was wondering if you have some kind of trouble while you were writing, for example, the scenes of Nicholas when he was living the technology for the first time. That was awesome. I was like, it's a good setting.
It's so interesting to think about, right? Like how Etta would respond to being in the past and not really understanding the norms of that and how people relate to one another, and Nicholas not really understanding technology and being very startled by like airplanes. Like, it's things I think we take for granted, but it's always a really interesting exercise to imagine yourself in a different time period and think about the way other people live. I mean, that's almost what reading is in general, is just it's a way to kind of develop empathy because you're living that character's life with that character. So I thought I love any sort of what we would call like a fish out of water situation where so like Nicholas not understanding the future and being like very awkward and funny about it. Like there was a lot of that, I think, in Passenger.
Those moments I love it. It's wonderful. I love the way your storytelling.
Oh, thank you.
It's very fantastical because it's uncanny how sometimes when you write, the reality is passed through the pages to real life. And those camps that you said in The Darkest Minds.
Yes.
I can relate. I am Mexican for the first starters, so I know that the problem that's happening in the United States, especially with those camps with kids. How do you feel about that?
I feel horrified about it, in that I do not think children should be separated from their families when they come into the United States, even if they're coming in illegally. I think that it's been a really interesting dynamic to have the movie come out and to see the images from the film juxtaposed with the images that are in the press of the different camps that the children are living in, essentially. It really is, it feels like we live in a very dark time, although I don't know that it's any darker than any other time period. We just are very aware of it because of social media. So I mean, it's horrifying, and I'm not sure what the solution is except to obviously close the camps and like reunite the families together. But yeah, really upsetting to see all of that playing out, and to also, like when you write dystopian or when you're writing sort of post-apocalyptic, you tend to almost look towards the past to see how the government or to see how the world has responded to situations in the past. So I was looking at the Japanese internment camps that we had in America during World War II to kind of inform what would happen. And so it's unfortunate and upsetting, as I said, to see history repeating itself in that way.
Yeah, it's very, very sad.
Yeah. And
also I sometimes think, and it's also in your book, Passenger, that you have to know your past to really know, fully know your present, and understand maybe the future.
I agree. I totally agree. I guess that's why I wrote that.
Yeah. Well,
now that I've said that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and one last question that I have. What inspired you to write all your stories? Because all of them are very different among them. The characters are even different personalities.
The one thing that I think ties all of the stories together, I love writing about families, whether that's like a found family of friends, or just like your dynamic with your parents or the dynamic with your extended family. But I've noticed that the one reoccurring theme that keeps happening over and over again in my books, and I'm like, oh gosh, I hope no one's noticed that I keep redoing this, but also it's important, is that it's like young women and young people in general discovering that they have power inside of themselves and literally learning how to use that power so that they can protect themselves, protect others, and go out and save the world, which I feel like young people today have so much power to make social change and to have their voices heard. So that's something that I am I'm pushing that with the books. But yeah, I really, especially young women, I like the idea that, and I truly believe that we all have power in ourselves. And so Ruby might be able to control minds, but we have the ability to use our voices and to meet people and connect with others.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I really
thank you.
Okay, really. Well, thank you so much. That's all. Carri Latino, nos vemos. That's all.